Okay, a bit of an explanation here. I was not really in a position where I could watch the Royal Rumble on Sunday. Uh, I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do my job. So, the only way I could watch the Rumble on Sunday was to be watching it like 10 o'clock, which meant it would have been over around 1 o'clock in the morning, which doesn't give me much time to get any sleep, really. So I figured, well, I'll watch a replay of the Royal Rumble on Monday, and then I can watch the Raw after the Rumble, because, if the Rumble is really the start of the road to WrestleMania, the Raw after the Rumble is kind of the on-ramp. And I figured, well, that way I could just do like a dual show review thing and get that done. And lo and behold, as you probably know, Raw got canceled because of the blizzard in Connecticut, where they were going to hold the show. So, yeah, this is just going to be strictly a Rumble review. Excuse me. Okay, so, the 2015 Royal Rumble was in Philadelphia. Philadelphia was, of course, the legendary home of Extreme Championship Wrestling. It's also not too far away from New York, which is the home base of, WWE. And so in between you have New Jersey. And so you have a lot of fans that tend to think they're smarter than everyone else. And so the crowd sort of dictates a lot of, we don't pick the people we like. You don't pick the people we like. We pick the people we like. And that was definitely dictated in the main event of the Royal Rumble. But I'll get to that point later. And then we had the free-for-all. And yeah, I know it's called, was it the pre-show or whatever? I call it the free-for-all. That's what it is. And that was a match between the New Day of Kofi Kingston and Big E against Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. And Cesaro and Kidd won that one. Again, I think this was supposed to be a six-man tag, but even though Adam Rose and Xavier Woods were down at ringside, it didn't really make much sense to make it just a tag match then. The only thing I could think of was this had already been on a WWE main event a couple weeks ago, and maybe they just didn't want to replay that. Anyway, on to the first match of the Royal Rumble proper, and that was the tag match between the New Age Outlaws and the Ascension. And the funny thing is, the Twitter hashtag for this tag team match was tag team titles, even though this was not a title match. And neither of the tag teams involved in said match actually had the titles. Yeah. No real shock here. I mean, the Outlaws are basically just being used as feed for the Ascension to try to build them up as an ultra-powerful tag team. So it wasn't a bad match, but, you knew what the outcome was going to be. Likewise, the next match we have the Usos versus Mizdow, which actually was the tag title match, and also had the hashtag of tag team titles. There was a couple botched bumps with Jey Uso, I think. He was flipping out of the ring, he clipped the top rope a little bit and conked Miz on the head really hard. And the Philadelphia crowd definitely let him know it with the "You effed up" chant. And Usos retain with Jimmy hitting a splash after a blind tag. And you could guess that the Mizdow team is probably on the outs. At least, especially after the Rumble, which again I'll get to later. After that we had the Divas tag match between the Bellas facing Natalya, Neidhart, and Paige. The rate they were going, I'm surprised that the Twitter hashtag for this wasn't tag team titles. And, I always have problems differentiating the Bellas. Nikki is the one who's the Divas champion and wears, like, the tomboyish sports gear, and Bree's the other one. And, there's a couple of botched spots in here, too. Bree was trying to do a neck breaker or something and let go at just the wrong time. It looked really sloppy. And the Bellas won, and it's one of those weird things again. It's like I think the Divas are really good at what they do, and it's the Bellas just seem to be the ones who win all the time, and I get it that they're popular, and they're really the stars of the Total Divas reality show, but again, it's like, it would have been nice to see a little bit more offense from Paige and Natalya. And then we have the semi-main event for this pay-per-view, and that was the triple threat match between Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Seth Rollins for the the World Heavyweight title, or the WWE World Heavyweight title, or whatever they're calling it nowadays. There's a little bit of a couple botched spots when Brock was throwing his German suplexes. Like, Seth Rollins a couple times landed on his shoulder. You're supposed to land more on your back with that. I don't know if that was Brock or Seth. Again, looking at the notes here, just trying to go over everything. There was another spot where Rollins was kind of jumping onto, I think it was, Cena was trying to do like a camel clutch or something, not a camel clutch, a cobra clutch, or a sleeper hold on Brock, and Rollins wound up driving his knee right into the back of Brock's head, like right about here. This is a picture of this being a knee instead of a hand, and again, it's like, boy, I don't think they set that up very well. Also, is it me, or are they trying to turn Brock Lesnar face? Because the announcers were just literally pimping the hell out of him. They were going, whoa, Brock's an unstoppable monster. Who's going to be able to stop him? There's no way. They're going to have to completely take him out. And, there was a couple of really nice spots in there, too. There's a spot where Cena threw Brock into the ring steps, and then Rollins managed to take out Cena just long enough to turn his attention to Brock, and he put Brock on the Spanish announce team's table, and then he did an elbow drop from the top rope of the ring onto the announce table. And that was able enough to take Brock out of action. And then both Cena and Rollins dueled in the ring as the doctors were checking out Brock, but then Brock rushed back in after Rollins hit a sort of corkscrew headbutt onto Cena, and then Brock, that's later. Brock Lesnar hit the F5 on Rollins and won the match. Obviously, I've mentioned this on if you know me from the comic forums, the old version of the comic forums, I mentioned this in one of the spots, but I live in Bismarck, North Dakota, and if you know anything about Brock Lesnar, he attended Bismarck State, which is technically it's a community college, but it's really more of a vocational school here and my father works there. He's now he's the vice president of academic affairs at the school, and my stepmother worked there part-time as a teacher. She taught an anatomy class, and Brock Lesnar was actually one of her students. So, yeah, a bit of unique trivia there. And so now we're on to the main event, which was the Royal Rumble match. I'm not going to go after every person that was put in, but I'll go over the first two here, and then some more noteworthy ones. The first two in were The Miz and R-Truth. And then the third one was the sudden return, well, not so sudden return as it had been predicted by a lot of people, of Bubba Ray Dudley. I think this is great. It's like, I loved the Dudleys when they were a tag team. Devon did not show up, even though the crowd began calling for him, but Bubba Ray came in. He actually eliminated both Miz and R-Truth. And after that, you had Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper come in. I think it was Harper and then Wyatt. And then they eliminated Bubba Ray. And then Curtis Axel came out at number 6, but he got attacked by Eric Rowan, who then went into the ring himself. And then Rowan and Harper were both thrown out by Bray Wyatt. And Curtis Axel never returned to the Royal Rumble match, so technically he should have won this thing, right? I know it's kind of a running joke on the internet right now, but after that we had the return of the Boogeyman, Terrible wrestler, but one of the great, dumb, stupid gimmicks around. I mean, he came out, and I always think of what R.D. Reynolds of WrestleCrap Radio said. His whole gimmick was he really hates clocks. Because the Boogeyman would come out, and he had this big alarm clock around on a chain around his neck, and he'd take it and he'd smash it. So that was his whole shtick. He liked to eat worms, and he hated clocks. And then at number 10, Daniel Bryan came in, and this was a shock as Bryan was obviously the sexy choice to win the Rumble. Well, Bryan and Roman Reigns. My choice was actually Dolph Ziggler, and I'll touch on him later. But Daniel Bryan came in at 10. Diamond Dallas Page came in at number 14. Roman Reigns, who I mentioned earlier, came in at number 20. Or number 19, yeah. Number 20 was Damien Mizdow. And then Miz ran down to the ring and said, no, this is my spot, not yours. You're just a stunt double. And he starts to climb into the ring, and I can't remember if it was Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns, basically knocked Miz back. And as Miz kind of rolled around on the floor, Mizdow kind of looks at Miz, back of the ring, back at Miz, and then Mizdow runs into the ring, kind of starts doing, and then subsequently gets eliminated himself. And like I said, this is pretty much the nail in the coffin for the Mizdow tag team. So if you enjoyed them, I hope you enjoy them. Number 23 was Ryback. Again, because of the whole, if you knew anything going into this, the whole, he got fired and now he's back in and everything there. 24 is Kane. Again, if you watched any of the build-up to the Rumble, they rifled off all these stats. Now, Kane was second only to Shawn Michaels in eliminations, and he had been in so many Rumbles, and so obviously that's a noteworthy thing. And then right after Kane came Dean Ambrose, and then Bad News Barrett, the Intercontinental Champion, was number 27. The Big Show was 29th, and Dolph Ziggler was 30th. And I thought that Ziggler was kind of my choice to really win it because he seemed to be getting a lot of the great crowd reaction. I had heard, he was getting the big push. In the Survivor Series main event, he was the sole survivor who defeated the Authority tag team. So it looked like that he might be ready to get the push. And, well, the other thing about Ziggler is, in every interview he was saying, I want 2015 to be the year of Dolph Ziggler. It's like, this is my time. I want to grab that brass ring. So it seemed to make a bit of logical sense for him to win the Rumble. He goes in and basically in about 2 or 3 minutes, Big Show clobbers him with a right hook, and then he and Kane basically chuck him out. And then they chuck out a couple more guys, and then they chuck out Ryback and a few more. And then it comes down to the final four, and it's Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Kane, and Big Show. But there's a bit of a twist at one point. And, Ambrose gets eliminated, but then Roman Reigns eliminates Big Show and Kane at the same time. Everyone thinks Reigns has won. Kane and Big Show return to the ring and start pounding the living tar out of Reigns. We then get The Rock's music. So The Rock has shown up to save his cousin. And they start celebrating again as if he's won the Rumble. However, Rusev, who came out, I believe at like 9th, maybe it was 11th, I can't remember exactly. He came out, it turned out that he had not actually been thrown over the top rope. He had actually gone up through the second rope or the third rope, or just under the third rope. And it turns out he was still eligible. And by this point, the crowd was dead because Daniel Bryan had gotten eliminated, and he was really the crowd favorite, the crowd darling. Everybody in the internet wrestling community, most people wanted Daniel Bryan to win. He was not in the Rumble last year. He should have been. You think they would have learned their mistake. Roman Reigns, at one point, he had some momentum behind him, when the Shield broke up, and going out of the Rumble this year. He didn't quite, yeah, exactly. It's like, but then he got hurt, and it seemed like all that momentum completely dissipated. And we were down, exactly, and so when it looked like Roman Reigns was going to, and then Rusev turned out to still be eligible, the whole crowd starts chanting, Rusev, Rusev. Yeah, the Russian Superman, who's supposed to be the ultimate villain, is being cheered for by the crowd because they don't want Roman Reigns to win. And again, I don't really have a problem with Roman Reigns. I think he has the potential to be really good, but again, it's like not right now and not in this manner. Like he's a little too goody two shoes. But Reigns eliminates Rusev. He wins the Rumble. He's going to WrestleMania. And like I said before, like this just really underwhelmed a lot of people, me included, just thinking back on it. Like, like I said, he had gotten hurt. He has no more momentum behind him. He can't cut a decent promo. He has no character input at all. Exactly. It's just he comes out of the crowd and he does a Superman punch, and that's supposed to get him over. And it really didn't. I mean, we could be heading towards Diesel 2.0 here. And no, I don't mean the fake Diesel from 1997. I mean, most of you know this. Again, if you watch this, you probably know this. When Kevin Nash was Diesel in the WWF, and he won the title from Bob Backlund in 1994. Like in 1994, well, a little bit further. At the 1994 Royal Rumble, Diesel went in. He just started eliminating guys left and right, left and right. He didn't win the Rumble, but he came out of it looking really badass, really cool. And throughout the summer too, as he feuded with Razor Ramon, and he and Shawn Michaels won the tag belts. Again, they just he really had a cool vibe about him, really cool badass type vibe. And then in the Survivor Series, in a different kind of match, that's just that is another sorry, unscripted. Anyway, in the Survivor Series in '94, there was a match between Bob Backlund and Bret Hart that was about throwing in the towel, and because Bret had been locked in a chicken wing, the crossface chicken wing, for like 10 minutes, I remember it just went on forever. Bret Hart's mother, Helen Hart, threw in the towel for him, and that ended the match, and Bob Backlund wound up winning the WWF Championship. Well, I think it was 2 nights later at a show in Madison Square Garden. This was not a televised show. This was actually a house show. Backlund put the belt on the line against Diesel. Diesel, pretty much right off from the start of the bell, kicks Backlund in the stomach, hits the jackknife, wins the belt. And seems to be going great. Everything, exactly. Again, Diesel, the crowd seemed to be behind him for just that little bit. Unfortunately, when Diesel won the belt, he went from being cool, badass guy, Diesel, to smiling goody two-shoes Diesel. And all his momentum just vanished, and people really stopped caring. Yeah, he nearly bankrupted WWE. Now, granted, there was a few extenuating circumstances in that. This was just after the steroid trial, so the company was already pretty low, and he nearly ruined it. Excuse me. Sorry. And anyway, getting back to Reigns, I could kind of see that that's sort of the same thing happening here. Where last year at the Rumble, Roman Reigns was a badass. He eliminated 12 people. That was a Rumble record. Excuse me again. He eliminated 12 people. That was a Rumble record. Again, sorry. And, the Shield was a hot tag team. When the Shield broke up, they were still those guys were still really hot. Rollins went, Rollins turned on the team and then went on to win Money in the Bank. And then Roman Reigns got hurt. He had a hernia. He had to have surgery. He had to miss, I think it was 2 or 3 months. And in that time frame, all of the momentum, all of the fan praise that he was getting vanished. And again, I could see, he's coming back, and he's not really cool, badass Roman Reigns. He's smiling goody two-shoes Roman Reigns. And yeah, this is kind of getting to the point where this might not work out exactly. This could, like I said, smiling goody two-shoes Kevin Nash was not as good as cool, badass Kevin Nash. And I see the same kind of unfolding here. Well, again, as I was going to say, I was going to talk about Raw, but since there is no Raw, I'm just going to have to end this now. So, bye, and I'll see you on Sunday for the next Peggy Carter review.